Trophies matter, but they are not everything. Here is the top 10 men's national teams ever, ranked by peak level, longevity, major titles, and impact on football history. At number 10, Hungary make the list because peak level matters. The great Hungarian side of the 1950s was not just good for its era. It was one of the strongest national teams football had seen. They reached 2 World Cup finals, won 3 Olympic gold medals, and for a stretch looked almost impossible to stop. This is a team you judge by how frightening it was at its best, not only by what it lifted. The image everyone goes back to is that 6-3 win over England at Wembley. That was not just a famous scoreline. It was one of those results that changed how people thought about football. Add the 27 goals they scored at one World Cup, and you get a side that attacked years ahead of its time. With all due respect to some trophy winners, Hungary's peak was too big to leave out. The missing World Cup title keeps them 10th. At number 9, England are here for the biggest reason possible. They have won the World Cup. The 1966 title alone puts them in serious all-time company. But this is not only about one summer in the past. In the modern era, England have become a proper tournament side again. They reached the final of Euro 2020 and then did it again at Euro 2024. That matters. For all the jokes about underachieving, only a few countries can say they have made back-to-back European Championship finals. England now can. That shows real improvement, real consistency, and a team that finally learned how to survive deep tournament runs. Still, for a country with this player pool, league strength, and football history, one major title is light compared with the giants above. England are big, but the story is still incomplete. 9th feels right. At number 8, the Netherlands are, for me, the strongest men's national team never to win the World Cup. 3 World Cup finals tells you how often they have been right on the edge. Add Euro 1988 and a Nations League final in 2019, and this is clearly more than one golden generation. Different Dutch teams, in different decades, kept getting back into the biggest conversations in football. More than anything, the Netherlands belong this high because of style. Total football did not just win matches. It changed football language. The Dutch became a reference point for bravery, movement, and technical control, and that legacy lasted long after the 1970s. But there is also a hard truth here. When the final step was there to take, they usually fell just short. That is why they sit below the teams with heavier major title records. Still, this is an all-time giant. At number 7, Uruguay are one of the true foundation teams of world football. This is a small country with an enormous international record. They won Olympic gold in 1924 and 1928, became the first World Cup champions in 1930, won the World Cup again in 1950, and have piled up Copa America titles for generations. When you talk about football history, Uruguay are not a side note. They are part of the first chapter. The moment that sums them up is the 1950 win over Brazil at the Maracanã. That result became part of football mythology because it showed exactly what Uruguay were: ruthless, fearless, and built for huge occasions. On top of that, their 15 Copa America titles give them real continental weight. Compared with some teams below them, the trophy cabinet is actually stronger. They are 7th only because the later dominance was not as constant as the names still to come. At number 6, France have become one of the best examples of lasting greatness in international football. What makes them special is not one peak. It is the ability to restart greatness with different generations. Platini's France won Euro 1984. Zidane's France won the 1998 World Cup and Euro 2000. Then another era brought the 2018 World Cup, the 2021 Nations League, and another World Cup final in 2022. Very few countries reload like this. Look at the finals list and the picture gets even stronger. World Cup final in 2006, Euro final in 2016, World Cup final again in 2022. France do not just have talent. They keep turning talent into deep tournament runs. From Zidane to Henry to Mbappé, each era gave them another world-class face and another shot at the biggest prizes. They are this high because they combine trophies with repeatability. They are not higher because the top 5 have either a bigger peak or a heavier all-time title set. At number 5, Spain get a huge push from one of the greatest peaks the international game has ever seen. For a long time, they were not this high in all-time debates. Then came the run that changed everything. Spain now have a record 4 European Championship titles, a World Cup, and a Nations League. But the real reason they rise this far is that 2008 to 2012 stretch, when they ruled football in a way no other national team had before. Winning Euro 2008, the 2010 World Cup, and Euro 2012 back-to-back-to-back was ridiculous. Nobody had done that before, and they did it through a style that became a global reference point. Spain did not just win. They controlled games, squeezed opponents, and made possession look like total authority. France may have the longer spread of finals, but Spain's peak was more unique. That is what lifts them into the top 5. At their best, they were close to untouchable. At number 4, Italy bring one of the heaviest tournament records in football. 4 World Cups and 2 European Championships put them in elite company straight away. They won back-to-back World Cups in 1934 and 1938, climbed back to the top in 1982, won again in 2006, and then added Euro 2021. That is serious range across eras. Italy were not always the flashiest national side, but they have been one of the hardest to kill for almost a century. What gives Italy extra weight is that they helped define tournament football itself. Discipline, defending, game management, nerve under pressure. They turned those things into part of their identity. The 2006 World Cup run is a perfect example of that steel, and the Euro 2021 title showed they could still come back with a different kind of team. The reason they stop at 4th is the gaps between peaks. Unlike the top 3, Italy had longer downturns. But the title haul is simply too big to push them lower. At number 3, Argentina have almost the perfect international resume. They have won 3 World Cups, they have a record 16 Copa America titles, and they have carried greatness across multiple eras. This is not a team that lives off one decade or one famous side. Argentina gave football the World Cup story of Maradona, and then, years later, the World Cup story of Messi. That alone gives them a kind of historical weight very few teams can match. Then look at how modern and alive the greatness still is. Argentina won Copa America in 2021, the World Cup in 2022, and Copa America again in 2024. That run matters because it removed any idea that their status was just about old memories. They are still adding to the case right now. Compared with Italy, the combination of recent dominance and all-time icon power gives them the edge. They are third because Brazil still have more World Cups, and Germany still have the stronger overall tournament consistency. At number 2, Germany are the benchmark for tournament reliability. If you want the most stable machine in international football history, this is the team. 4 World Cups, 3 European Championships, and deep runs across era after era make the case. West Germany, unified Germany, different coaches, different styles. The results kept coming. That is why Germany are so hard to rank below anyone. They may not always feel like the most romantic team, but they are one of the most effective ever built. What separates Germany from almost everyone else is how often they stay alive late in tournaments. They do not just have peaks, they have an all-time culture of getting to semifinals, finals, and huge knockout wins. The 2014 World Cup title completed another full cycle of greatness, decades after the wins in 1954, 1974, and 1990. With all due respect to Argentina, Germany's overall tournament stability is stronger. They miss out on number 1 for one reason only. Brazil have the extra World Cup and the stronger global image of what a football nation looks like. At number 1, it has to be Brazil. No national team combines results, symbolism, and football identity better. Brazil have won a record 5 World Cups. They are the only team to play at every World Cup. They have more World Cup wins than anyone else, and when people around the world picture international football at its most iconic, Brazil are usually the first image that comes to mind. This is not only about a trophy count. It is about decades of being the standard, the dream, and the reference point. The details only make the case stronger. Brazil put together an 11-game World Cup winning streak, and Pelé is still the only player with 3 World Cup titles. Then there is the style factor. Brazil did not become number one just by winning. They made greatness look joyful, creative, and global in a way no one else fully matched. Germany are right there on pure tournament strength, but Brazil edged them because the record is better and the football aura is bigger. When you mix silverware, longevity, stars, and cultural impact, Brazil are still the team to beat. So that is the list. A ranking built on silverware, peak power, staying power, and football influence. Some teams had the longer run, some had the higher peak. But when you balance everything, these 10 stand above the rest. Now it is your turn. Which team is too high, which team is too low, and who is missing? Drop your top 10 in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe.